Hi, Robert Leone. Thanks for being here today. First, we want to find out a little bit about you, and then we're going to find out what job tips you've got for us today.
Great. Hi, Nancy. I'm recently retired as the communications and outreach manager for a global health project funded by the U.S. Agency for International Development. So in that position, I spent a lot of time traveling around the country and talking to public health students and also global health professionals already working in the field about the positions that we had, and because we were employers, and what the skills were required that we were looking for those positions, and also looked at a lot of resumes and talked to people about how to really strengthen their resumes in terms of making those skills and experience really sort of jump out to recruiters and hiring managers. And currently I'm a career coach at the San Francisco Public Library. So
that's a great resource.
It is a really good resource. So up until this health epidemic that we've now find ourselves in, I was doing that one-on-one at the library for 30 minutes. Starting at the beginning of May, we're going to be doing that virtually on Zoom. So you can go to the library website, sign up for a 30-minute slot. And there are two of us currently that are doing it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you sign up for your slot, we'll talk to you for 30 minutes on Zoom.
Okay, that's a good tip right there.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good one. Exactly. So should I just sort of jump in then?
Yeah,
with the rest
go right ahead.
So I just wanted to mention a couple of other resources that I've talked to people about a lot, and I think that are really useful. One is Jewish Vocational Services. Here in San Francisco, they have a lot of workshops around career that they do, and they're also pivoting now to doing things online. Many of those were face-to-face, which of course they can't do anymore. So I know they're doing one on LinkedIn Basics, how to pivot your job skills, things like that. The other thing is Albert's List, which is a Facebook page, and I find that really valuable. It's sort of it's very tech heavy, but jobs come up on there. But it's also a great place to ask questions. They have something like 40,000 members just in the Bay Area, and you can ask, hey, do you know anybody at a particular company? I'd love to reach out to them. And I'm amazed at the quality of the comments that you get back on those kinds of things. So another resource. And then some of the tips that I would like to sort of share with people is, one thing is, let your passion for the work shine through in any sort of interactions that you're having with recruiters or hiring managers, or when you're applying for a position, especially if you're a career changer or someone just starting out. You want to make them know why you're applying for that job in particular, not just sort of generic. You don't want to look like, well, you're just sort of blanketing the internet with your resume. You're talking to them specifically. Also, be proactive. Do your research. Find companies that you want to work for and try and reach out to a specific person there for an informational interview. And when you find that person, have some really good specific questions, because they're on the inside and they're really the only ones that can answer those questions. What is it like to work there? What kind of projects do you work on? What is the management structure like? These are all things that are invaluable, and very often you don't know that. It's difficult to find that information. So you don't want that to just be sort of a casual conversation. You want to have some really specific things, and then also find ways to keep in touch with that person over time, so you're building a network as well. It's not just sort of a one-shot deal. The other thing is, I saw a really interesting LinkedIn survey that was done, and one of the things that came out of it was that they found that that certain soft skills, for lack of a better term, were in short supply yet highly coveted, and those were communication, collaboration, and leadership skills. And those are the things, that you only can really get through experience. They're not necessarily things that you're taught in school or, whatever. But they're really important, and they can be, if you don't have them, sometimes you can't move forward in your work and there's no results happening. So if you have those, you want to talk about them and you want to show it, not tell it. So everybody in their resume and their, their cover letter says they have great written and verbal communication skills. Well, that's not always the case. And so you want to be able to demonstrate that, talk about that in a little bit of detail. What, how do you demonstrate those skills? A resume, in my mind, is not just a historical document of what you've done in the past, but it should be a roadmap for where you want to go next in your career. So you really want to shape that information. A lot of times I see resumes and people just throw everything in there, whether it applies to the position they're, applying for or not. They just, well, hopefully something will stick. So it's better, I think, to put in the things that you think are most important. So you looked at that job announcement, you've determined that there are certain skills that are really important, and you have those skills. So you really want to focus on those and give them some detail, and take the other stuff out, because they're not going to really be interested in things that don't apply to that position. Also, now in this current health emergency, I think it would be a good time to reach out to the contacts that you already have, and not to ask them for something, but to ask them what maybe you can do for them. If you have some particular skills that might be relevant, say, hey, is there something I can help you with? So you're keeping those contacts going, and you're not always asking them for something.
I think that's an excellent point, because I think the relationship should be two-way. And
Exactly.
We find that in the networking, that if you reach out and talk to someone at different times, it does help.
Yes. So you keep it going, and it's a two-way street that way. Also, follow companies that you're interested in social media, and find out how do they treat their employees, and is there a company that you want to work for, and then find a way in. Find a way to reach out to people in that company. The other thing, well, this sort of goes back to what I was saying before, but if you're trying to decide in your resume, should I put this in or not? My touchstone is it relevant to the position I'm applying for? If it's not, I would take it out. But that gives you more real estate to do, other stuff. So I have just a couple of more things. Also, think about playing the long game. Consider it, if you're looking for a marketing job, but there's a communications position that comes up, but it's a great company that you want to work for and you have the skills, well, consider that. So, it's a way in. It's not the ideal thing for you, but it's adjacent, and so think about more of a long-term thing. Also, now is a good time to boost your skills. Figure out where the gaps might be in your experience. Take classes to fill them. Again, another plug for the library. If you have a library card, they have a really large variety of online classes that you can take for free. So
and that's the main San Francisco library, right?
Right. But you can do all this online now because they're closed. But yeah, with a library card, you can sign up for classes and take them for no charge. The last thing that I wanted to mention is, you have to toot your own horn, and not in an obnoxious way, but you have to be clear about the skills and experience you have. And I just want to give a very brief example. I was at a conference when I was working, and I was talking to this woman, and she worked in domestic public health. And very often the idea of working in in international development is very exciting to people, and they think they can just sort of, it's a lateral move, but it's not, because the skills are different. The politics is different. The funding is different. The health issues are all different. And so you're not going to be able to necessarily, if you've had 10 years of experience in domestic health, you're not going to be able to just sort of move over. So I was looking at this woman's resume, and she had very solid mid-level domestic experience. Then on the very last page of her resume, she had just a line, and it said that she had volunteered for this organization, and it gave the name. Didn't say what she did, didn't say where it was. And I sort of zeroed in on it. I said, could you tell me a little more about that? And she said, well, for the last 7 years, she'd been volunteering in Uganda, setting up family planning clinics in the summer. She would go there every summer. So this is huge. So she knows about the politics, she knows about the funding, she knows about how to work with the Ministry of Health in that country, but it was buried. It was way buried on the end of the page, and nobody would ever. I asked about it because I was, I was there to kind of pick some of that stuff out. But if you, a recruiter isn't necessarily going to know that or think about it. So
They
you want to
would
find.
get to that when they're looking at
They
the
never get to it. Exactly. They would never get to it. So you want to find a way to bring that up to the front and expand on them. So think about, the skills and experience that you have, and make sure that they're clear, and you're not vague about, or shy about, sort of putting that out there.
Okay, so that's a good point. It's just important to take the time to do that kind of stuff.
Right. And everybody's, their eyes sort of roll back in their head about, oh, I have to rewrite my resume. But I think it's really worth taking that, that time and really making it work for you.
Right. Okay, all really good points. I appreciate it so much, and hopefully we'll get to see each other in person soon. But for now, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, and best of luck with all the rest of it.
Great.